Excuse me? Did you just ask what was BGK Network for? I'm glad that you asked. Let me get the number up because I know you're going to call. So BGK was founded by Michael. What happened to the number? The number's at the top of the screen now. But anyway, get the number. As I was saying, BGK Network was founded by... It's at the bottom of the screen. Really? Really? Okay. I'm sorry for calling you Michael. Apostle, just put me back where I can talk. Just put me back, please. Wow, some people are so sensitive, right? But seriously, what you just saw was a sample of what Apostle Michael Dulaney and Evangelist Tiffany can do through virtual ministry with BGK Network. They founded BGK to help people like you and myself to put the gospel out around the world. It's a great opportunity. I do encourage you to call the number. It's more affordable than you think. Give them a call. I did.
There, and welcome to another edition of Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family. I'm Dr. Ramona Joseph. You all know me. I'm Dr. Mom, and I just want to tell you that there are times when I really need your support and your encouragement. So the number that you can call me on is right now, it's on your screen. It's 972-816-7334. And you can call me. I'd be so happy to hear your voice on the telephone. And then even if I don't answer, you can always leave me a voicemail message. Write me at rjjoseph920@gmail.com. I tell you, it looks like Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family audience, that your YouTube audience they have been signing up. They have been subscribing to Dr. Mom's Wisdom for the Saints. They have been doing an awesome job. So Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family, BGK Network. Please do not let YouTube outdo you by me having more subscribers on YouTube. Yes, you can see any presentations of Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family on my YouTube channel, Dr. Mom's Wisdom for the Saints, and they are all there listed, various times that I have been able to talk with people. Bishop Roger Phillips and his wife, Lady Virgie Phillips, Bishop Matthew Marvin Odom, talking about the grief that he experienced when his wife died, and then also sharing about how a few years later God put another lady into his life, and they're both widows. He's a widower and she's a widow, and how God put them together and what they are bringing to their marriage. There's Maxine Sturdivant. She was a victim of domestic violence, not pointing any bad fingers to her ex-husband, but just being able to talk about how she overcame, how she went back to school, and now she is a full-scale professor at a major university in Alabama. We're talking about Minister Renee Carter, who wrote a book, What About Me? And she interviewed several leaders from around the country about the trauma and the dysfunction that they had in their life. Those are valuable, and they're things that you and your family can sit down and watch. Lady V. Winfield, who is the First Lady of the Potter's House in Fort Worth, talks about her recent mother's death and how she was overcoming her grief during the Christmas and New Year holidays. So there's a lot of valuable things out there, but don't let my YouTube audience become more powerful than my Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family. Hey, why not join me on Facebook? We have a Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family group. And I'd like for you to join that group because you get regular updates. And I want to take this opportunity to especially thank Evangelist Tiffany Delaney because she keeps that Facebook group going all the time, putting out interesting information. And I want to thank Minister Alicia Lewis for the technical help that she has provided. And then I want to take an opportunity to thank the people. There are a couple of folks that are sowing into Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family. They've made a commitment to sow a seed to help with the productions and the things that we are endeavoring to do. So you've heard it all. I've used about 4 minutes of my recording time, and I want to introduce you to Apostle Sharon Peters Ruff, my spiritual daughter in the Chicagoland area. She did a phenomenal job for heading up Team 80. Team 80, yes, I turned 80 years of age in 2023, and it was an awesome experience. Second to none. We had a beautiful hotel experience. We had wonderful banquet experience. People came, Dr. Michael West from St. Louis and Bishop Larry Trotter in the Chicagoland area. All my Texas family came, Mona and Mel Espinoza, Elder Kertisha Grant and her husband, Minister Frank Grant, and then my spiritual daughter, Monica. Everybody came. They came from Texas. They came from St. Louis. They came from the suburbs of Chicago. They rallied because Apostle Sharon, you were sending out those emails and text messages and come on, we got to make this thing happen. And your team under your leadership just did an awesome job. And then they sent me a beautiful, beautiful journal with all the pictures of everyone. And that was just simply fabulous. A few weeks ago, I had an opportunity to minister at the Potter's House, Fort Worth with my pastor, Patrick E. Winfield II. And they were doing an introduction of me. And I looked on the screen, I was like, there's Apostle Sharon, there's Team 80. How did they get these pictures? And they had gone on Google or somewhere and gotten all the pictures from Team 80. So you were right there with me that Sunday I was ministering. And I wasn't ministering behind a pulpit. I was sitting down talking about damaged emotions. And even on this past Sunday, one of the gentlemen who had said he was so affected by damaged emotions as a child, he came up and he said, I'm doing so much better. Thank you for being open and honest about your life. And I've just been able to embrace those people that came up to me, not for any popularity or anything like that. It was just simply that chains were broken and people were set free. So, Apostle Sharon.
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to tell us, and I go way back in the history of you and the late Donald C. Ruff, my spiritual son. I go way back with you all, and I don't know if this viewing audience knows as much about him. I'd like for you to share some things about Apostle Donald C. Ruff.
Well, hello to everybody, and thank you, Dr. Mom, for allowing me to grace Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family. I feel like Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family has been so synonymous with you because all of us from the Chicagoland area, we had the wonderful privilege of listening to you on the radio with your other host leaders and just answering all these hard questions and things like that. And so we just know you from that, and I love you tremendously. And so did my late husband, Donald C. Ruff. It's coming up, I believe, about 16 years in May since he departed the earth. And I always kind of felt like he left here too soon, just being early in his 40s and leaving so soon, it was unimaginative, but it became our reality. But I have to say, he used his time very well here. He loved you tremendously. I can't remember a time of anything in the time frame of us doing ministry all the way from the beginning as a church that he did not say, we need to talk to Dr. Mom about this, or let's bring Dr. Mom in about this. I mean, let's have Dr. Mom teach on this. I mean, from, how do we deal with a pastor coming into the church? And that was his mother, who's also deceased, a senior pastor coming into our ministry. What do we do with her? And you told her, you like, make her an elder.
Yeah.
And that was the first implementation of elders in our church, ordaining elders. And then we got to the point of needing to ordain deacons, and you came in and taught on that. And then when we saw ourselves moving in the prophetic, and then get Dr. Mom to come in and teach on that. And Dr. Mom, you just played an integral part in our beginning days, our transition days, where we are now, and all of that. It just seems like you've always been with us. But Donald C. Ruff was, we used to describe him, the man, the pastor, and the prophet, who was happened to be an apostle too. He was such a trailblazer.
Yes.
He was a family man. And my mom teases all the time, boy, you couldn't say nothing about his children. You couldn't say anything about his children.
Yes.
You couldn't overwork his children. You couldn't, just generally say things about him. He would say, no, you take that back. You cannot speak that over my children. He could rarely preach a message without Jesus and his wife.
Okay, all right.
He would always, I used to say, God, can you ever preach anything without using me as some example? He always had an example of baby. That's what he used to call me. He always had an example of me. I learned so much from him in terms of the Bible. If you want to know what it's like to have Bible class in the home, it just come to the Ruff house.
Okay.
He would teach us the Bible in the home because he always had his Bible out. I think what he loved was his time with his family. He loved his study time. He could study for hours. He loved his coffee, and he loved the fellowship with the saints. I believe Donald C. Ruff, he was like the old school fellowship after church, the dinners, the fellowship hall, the food committee, who's going to do the continental breakfast, who's going to bring the fish dinner to the pastor's office. I mean, this man loved koinonia.
Yes.
He loved fellowship with the saints. And our church was the type of church where church was over. We had spent hours in church and nobody wanted to go home.
Exactly.
And I used to say, why don't you people want to go home? Because Donald C. Ruff had an open door and they would come in and sit. And I've even seen people, he would preach and then it would be like the after preach. Where everybody was in his office and people had plates in their hand. We ran out of seats and he's just eating and talking some more. And he used to tell us, when I talk, I teach. So everybody was there just like for the afterflow. He was a really, such a caring man. Really, I remember one time he said to me, he said, even though he was an apostle and he had his traits and markings of being an apostle, but he wasn't an itinerant. He wasn't itinerant. He used to say to me, he said, I'm not called to be this itinerant. I focus a lot at home. And he did a lot of building of people at home. And so he was such a builder. He was a trailblazer. He was going to talk about what others wouldn't talk about. He was always discovering some new truth, present truth.
Yeah.
God's word, and he would conduct classes and raising the bar of spirituality
Yes.
in
Yes.
God's people. That was his thing. He was going to take you higher spiritually. He would not allow you to stay carnal with him.
Yes.
And Dr. Mom, I believe Apostle Donald C. Ruff had great depths in the spirit realm.
Yes. Yes.
He
Yes.
mentioned often about seeing things, hearing things. Um, he could teach so from a revelation standpoint. And I always said that I caught that mantle
Yeah.
of being a revelator. He was a modern day John the Revelator. He was
Yes.
Donald the Revelator. And I believe I caught that mantle from him of being able to search the scriptures and coupling it with the Spirit of God to gain, as Apostle Paul would be able to say, he could unfold mysteries.
Yes. Okay.
Donald Ruff could unfold mysteries hidden in the scriptures. And so our motto, and still is uncovering the riches of God's truth. He could
Yes.
definitely do that. And I like to say, so can I, because he was my tutor.
Yes.
He's my
Yes.
teacher.
Yes. Yes. A great man filled with the spirit of wisdom, and the enemy, the evil one, tried so hard to destroy him as an
Mhm.
individual. It's something that Pastor Winfield, my pastor, said recently, and he said, the challenges and the pain that we go through, that God has purposed those challenges and those pains for us, because that is a part of our purpose, a part of our destiny. And
Mhm.
so the challenges that he went through, that your spouse went through, was what God had purposed for him and his destiny. And he went through it until, yes, we don't feel as though we wanted him to leave us at such an early age, but his destiny and purpose had been fulfilled. And then God
Yes.
says, now you've done what I put you in the earth realm to do. And no matter how painful it is for your spouse, your children, the congregants in your church, it's time. It is our time now for you to come and be with me.
Mhm.
And that's so hard for us to understand. I know that in a previous presentation, you talked about grief and how you had no time to grieve because you were busy picking up the pieces of the people that just couldn't understand what had happened. And while you couldn't understand, you stood tall and firm in that season for those people, and then God progressed you to move on with the ministry. Um,
Mhm.
I think that you have picked up an awesome mantle. I know that there are lots of things that Apostle Sharon Peters Ruff does, and you does. You do mentoring. Talk about your mentoring program with the people that you mentor.
Yes, I in 2018 I birthed out what is called woman to woman covenant connection. And the first leg of that, and I believe it'll be other legs of that, which God is showing to me, but everything in its time and season. And so the first leg of woman to woman is a mentorship program.
Okay.
And the thing that God really gave me, it was really a prophetic word, as you have given me prophetic word about some of the thing, about my pastorship. The prophetic word came from you about my pastorship, and then the prophetic word came to me about me being an uncommon mentor. And
Yeah.
that really stuck with me. It was like an uncommon mentor. But I've always been told, even my mom always said to me, that I was different. And it took me some years to really understand my difference or my distinction. And so here now comes, you're this uncommon mentor. And I've always, not, I shouldn't say always, but in my adult life, I would say in my 20s up until where I am now, 64, I've always had a way with women, a
Mhm.
patience with women, an affiliation with women, no problem with women, and just being there for them like a guide.
Yes.
And the thing that was released to me was that I could give women through my mentorship wisdom without the weight.
Yes.
And I understood that, Dr. Mom, because you, as my Dr. Mom, my spiritual mother, you gave me a lot of wisdom in the area of leadership, in the area of pastorship, and just in the area of life without the weight.
Yes.
And that's something to think, and I mean the WAIT,
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
And we probably could even say without the WEIGHT
Yes.
too.
Yes.
But you gave me a lot of wisdom without the wait. Like I didn't have to wait to experience certain things to get the wisdom,
Yes.
because wisdom can be gained through experience, and we know that God can give us wisdom, but there's a wisdom that comes through experience too.
Yes. Yes.
And so uh, that giving women the wisdom without the weight, being a guide for them, taking them through or helping them through various processes of life, and understanding that sometimes lessons is the blessing.
Yes.
That was the blessing,
Yes.
that you got a lesson,
Yes.
and then being able to utilize those lessons. I wrote a book, my last book, the 11th book, called Leaders, The Leader Learning,
Yes.
How Leaders Learn Differently.
Yes.
And I think that we have some awesome learning experiences that we can learn from even other people. And I've learned so much from you. You never labeled yourself as a mentor to me, but in essence you were a type of mentor to me
Yes.
because you were a guide for me. And I know we like the word coach. I know we like life coach, and
Yes.
that's just a new word and everything, but mentors have been around a long time,
Yes. Yes.
just
Yes.
having a mentor. And so I mentor. I don't feel like I can mentor in every area, but I do feel like I can mentor in leadership, in the apostolic, in women's ministry, and in something called womanhood.
Yes.
Because I did have a woman in my life as a child to help me with my femininity, grow me into womanhood. I did have an example in front of me seeing what that looked like. And
Yes.
a lot of women don't.
No.
And
No. No.
so I do mentor in that area. What does
Yeah.
it look like?
Yeah. Yeah.
What I got gaps. And so I do mentor in that. Might seem strange, but I am a mentor to women as it relates to womanhood, filling in the gaps.
Yes, yes. I
So
and I can attest to that, my mother, and I think I said this very recently, was not raised to be a mother. She was not raised to be a mother. She was literally raised to be a spoiled brat. And so she wasn't raised to be a mother. So I never had anyone to teach me how to dress or to teach me how to put on makeup. Everything that I learned, I either read it in a good housekeeping book or a book to see how people were dressing and what people were doing. And there are any number of women that are in the same boat that I'm in. So consequently, they are not themselves. They're trying to portray some pictures that are in error. They're portraying pictures of what they have seen as a first lady, just a big hat and not doing anything, lots of glitter on and everything. When the best first lady would be the first lady that was just herself. If she came to church with a baseball cap on and it was a nice looking baseball outfit, she's being herself. And I think that's what your mentorship program is showing women be yourself. Be the
Mhm.
best yourself you can be, but just be yourself. Don't try to use a model of someone else. Find out what God wants you to be and be that.
Mhm. Yeah, I spend a lot of time in my mentorship sessions. It is a paid mentorship sessions. They get 2 1-hour sessions with me a month. And trust me, they really look forward to that,
Mhm.
that somebody would spend an hour
Yes,
with you, listening, um, helping, analyzing, all of those type of things, just to get somebody to talk with you for an hour
yes,
is a good thing for some of them. But we spend time in things like, what's your goals? Have you discovered your purpose? Where lies your giftings? What are your great endowments? What would you like to do?
yes,
We spend a lot of time with that because I found that a lot of women are, like you said, they're image consulting.
yes,
They're
yes,
looking at magazines or they're looking at somebody else who has created an image and not really modeled what it's like to be the woman that God made. I
exactly.
always say, I am a woman by God's design. Now,
Okay.
I don't want to be less than God designed me to be by focusing on an image that somebody wants me to have. I went through that whole scenario as a first lady
Yeah,
where you were expected to look the way the people wanted you to look the way maybe for some the organization wants you to look. And that didn't work for me.
yeah, yeah,
And it didn't even work for Apostle Donald C. Ruff,
yes, yeah.
that he expected me to be the image on his arm that
Hmm.
went under the banner of First Lady. What if you're a First Lady that's an academic and you're, a person that likes academy, that likes college, that likes higher learning and pursue that. Should you not pursue that because you're the first lady?
Yeah,
I don't like that. And does just clothes alone make you the first lady?
no,
Does
no.
the big hat make you the first? What if I don't look right in hats? Do I
Well, listen,
still have to wear one?
yeah, yeah. Well, we're going on, and one of the most important things I want to talk about last 3 minutes
Okay.
is this experience that's coming up in October. Tell us about that.
Yes, the Shiloh experience will be October 25th through the 27th. That's actually it's 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and we don't end until Sunday at noon. There are keynote speakers, but there are one of the things I love about the Shiloh experience, it's the epitaph of Christ, is where you experience Jesus Christ. It's not church per se, but Jesus is there, and we want you to have that experience. Some women have experience in the classroom, some have experience in the general sessions, some have experience just by seeing their sisters that
Mhm.
they have made friends with. All of that. It's an experience, even having lunch together. And
Yeah,
so it's an experience, and it can be unique to you, it can be corporate. It's wonderful. It's a very loving place. We deem Shiloh as a safe place, a
yeah,
tranquil place, a
yeah.
prosperous place. And this year we're focusing on sanctifying the whole woman for his glory.
Okay. Now, how do we get on to getting information? I want everybody to know how they can get that information.
Just go to our website, sweetroseofsharon.com. All the information is there. You can register there. And once you register, we send you the link. We're going to be at a beautiful hotel in, in Itasca, Illinois. And all of the information is there. and it allows you to register, and you'll get a link to register at the hotel too.
Oh, okay. And so this brings to a conclusion this edition of Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family. I do want you to register. I want you to come to Itasca. I want you to be a part of the Shiloh experience. I don't know if you'll be able to be in the class that I am teaching. I am actually going to be teaching about damaged emotions and how we have to stop tripping over our past. And by that time, we should have the book completed, and we should be able to present you with some fresh ideas and topics about damaged emotions and what God is expecting you to do if your emotions have been damaged. Apostle Sharon, you are absolutely an awesome daughter in the Lord. Can I top this off by simply saying, I've never found a hat that couldn't fit on this head. I love hats.
You love hats.
I love hats. I am a hat lady. And so coming up to the Resurrection Sunday services, I was like, God, I sure would like to have one of those good-looking fedora hats to wear on Sunday. And I was like, no, you'll probably be the only lady sitting up there with a hat on. There'll be some seasoned saints that have hats on, but I used to go into stores and I would literally try on every hat that they had on display. And the salespeople would say, well, that one looks good on you. Oh no, that one looks good on you. So I've never found a hat that didn't look good on this head.
I need to ship you all of mine because I do have some. I need to ship you all of my hat boxes because they're just down there collecting dust.
Yeah, I know. We live in this Texas area that gets kind of hot and we don't wear
Yes.
any of our hats and things like that. We are so casual. I went to Bible study one night and they were all saying, Dr. Mom, you got on some red gym shoes. What are you doing with red gym shoes on? I go, I'm trying to look like you all look. Admittedly, I can kick, but not as high as I used to kick. So I want to thank you. This has been simply enjoyable, enjoyable, enjoyable. I'm Dr. Ramona Joseph, and I've had a wonderful time on this edition of Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family. Don't forget to go to the website, give it to us again.
sweetroseofsharon.com.
sweetroseofsharon.com. And be sure to check her out. Go to that website and check it out. And this time there are going to be some events for the husbands that come, some things that Apostle Sharon's putting together for the men that come with their wives. They have requested that they have some sort of session. And I think that's just going to be awesome. If it's 10 men, if it's 12 men, the number of men is not important. It's that they want to be a part of the Shiloh experience, and why not you? I'm Dr. Mom. Until the next time, thank you so much for being a part of Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family. Check us out. Check us out. You know what? You can go to Dr. Mom's Wisdom for the Saints. That's my YouTube channel. And you can see even this presentation with Apostle Sharon Peters Ruff and Dr. Mom. Until the next time, God bless.